Hi, fourth grade. Today we're going to talk about another type of figurative language. It's called hyperbole. Now look at that word. It looks like it says hyperbole, but it really says hyperbole. That's how we pronounce it. Our essential question remains the same. How can using figurative language improve our writing? Our I can statement is I can improve my writing by including figurative language. And so you're going to learn all about how your writing can become better by using figurative language, such as hyperbole. A hyperbole is an exaggeration of the truth or a stretching of the truth. Some examples. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Now, when a person says that, they're just saying that they're really hungry, right? You really wouldn't eat a horse. You're not that hungry. Here's one I've said, this is the worst day of my life. That means it's just a bad day, right? Usually it's not truly the worst day of your life. Okay? It's typically used as an exaggeration. Summer vacation is never going to arrive. We're kind of feeling that right now, maybe, right? It feels like it's never going to arrive, but is it? Of course it is. In a couple weeks. My dad is going to kill me when he sees my room. So maybe your room is really messy and your dad is going to be angry. Is he actually going to kill you? Of course not. That's an exaggeration or a hyperbole. So hyperboles give our writing more interest. Okay, we know that your dad really isn't going to kill you, but it throws a little drama into what you're saying. It sounds a little bit more interesting than my dad is going to be upset when he sees my room. That's really what we mean, but to say he's going to kill you, it just adds a little bit more emotion, a little bit more drama to your statement. Let's look at this poem and see if you can find the examples of hyperbole. Remember, hyperbole is an exaggeration of the truth. So this poem is called I Once Caught a Fish. My dad and I went fishing. The whole time I was wishing to catch a big fish. I cast out my line. Just in time, I got a bite. I pulled it in over my shoulder. It was bigger than a boulder from the Grand Canyon. Its head was larger than a swimming pool. Man, this is going to look cool in my picture. Okay, so I saw a couple of examples of hyperbole. Okay, now the first one is I pulled it in over my shoulder. It was bigger than a boulder from the Grand Canyon. Now, a boulder is like a huge, huge rock. Is a fish going to be the same size as a huge, huge rock that's probably bigger than you or I? No, that's hyperbole. It sounds cool, but we know it's not true. Its head was larger than a swimming pool. Now, think of a regular sized swimming pool. Would a fish have a head that big that you would catch out in a lake somewhere? Of course not. Again, it's just saying it's got a big head. But is it truly larger than a swimming pool? No, it's absolutely hyperbole. Now, if you look at the picture, we can even say that this is another example of hyperbole, the whole poem, or at least where it's talking about how large the fish is. Is that fish large at all? Nope, he's pretty little. And so that could also be considered hyperbole, an exaggeration of the size of that fish. And when we use the hyperbole talking about the fish, it's a lot more interesting to say, I pulled it in over my shoulder. It was bigger than a boulder from the Grand Canyon. Its head was larger than a swimming pool. That's a whole lot more interesting and descriptive than saying it was big. That's what they're trying to say in this. It was big. It was a huge fish. Okay? Using that description, that hyperbole, just makes it better. Let's look at another poem. This one's called Time Out. You look to see if you can find the hyperbole. All by myself, alone in a room. My mom put me in time out. So lonely it's been 10,000 years. So lonely no one remembers me at all. So lonely my whole world is just this room. Oh wait, my 5 minutes are up. Goodbye, I'm going out to play. Okay, so all by myself alone in a room. Is that a hyperbole? No, this person is just all by themselves in a room. I'm all by myself in a room right now. It's not hyperbole. My mom put me in timeout. Is that a hyperbole or an exaggeration of the truth? No, she just put him in timeout. So lonely it's been 10,000 years. 10,000 years? Humans don't live nearly that long, so that's definitely a hyperbole. So lonely no one remembers me at all. Is that true? No, his mom is going to remember him and probably everybody else that he knows. So lonely my whole world is just this room. Oh, yeah, to have your whole world be just one room would mean you've been locked up for probably years and years. And then I know that that child hasn't been locked up for years and years when it says, oh, wait, my 5 minutes are up. So look at how this kid is exaggerating his timeout. 10,000 years, no one will remember me at all. My whole world is just this room. Well, he was only in timeout for 5 minutes. So huge exaggerations there. Huge examples of hyperbole. This author did a really good job at um, giving the feeling of how this feels like it's so long for this kid to endure when really it's only 5 minutes. And we've all felt this kind of thing, right? Like maybe you really want school to get out for the day so you can go and do something fun with a friend that you've been looking forward to. And it seems like the clock slows down to almost a stop and time is just moving slowly. So we can kind of sympathize with how this kid feels. We can empathize with how he feels. And it just seems like it's taking forever. Okay? And hyperbole does a great job of really being descriptive, and it can really help us to feel the emotion of the poem. So, how can using figurative language like hyperbole improve our writing? It can help us really feel the author of the poem's emotions. It can be descriptive so we understand things better. And it can just make it more entertaining, more interesting. Okay? Rather than I had to sit in timeout for 5 minutes, I was in timeout for 10,000 years. That really helps us to feel how long it's taking. So, figurative language like hyperbole is a great way to spice up our writing.